Jake, answer quickly. Who is your favorite sibling? Don't think, just say it.
I can't answer that. If I say my sister, my brother will kill me. If I say my brother, my sister will never speak to me again. It's a trap. Do you have a favorite?
Maybe, but I'll never tell. Siblings are complicated, aren't they? They're your first best friends and your first enemies. Today, we are going to learn exactly how to talk about that crazy relationship.
Awesome. I need to learn how to complain about my brother politely. Let's do this.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Talkin' English. I'm your host, Anna. We are so happy to have you here for this brand new series. We know that family is a huge topic, and specifically, brothers and sisters are a source of endless stories. So, we are dedicating this entire series to sibling dynamics.
So, Anna, I've been meaning to ask you this for a while. Do you have any brothers or sisters? I know we talk about work and daily life all the time, but we've never really discussed our families and siblings before today.
Actually, yes. I have one older brother named Michael and one younger sister named Lily. So I'm right in the middle, which people call being the middle child. It has its own unique challenges and advantages that I could talk about for hours.
Oh, wow, you're a middle child. I've heard that middle children have very distinct personality traits compared to oldest or youngest children. Do you think the stereotypes about middle children are true in your case personally?
Honestly, some of them are pretty accurate. I'm definitely the peacemaker in my family, always trying to keep harmony between everyone. I also learned to be very independent early on because I had to fight for attention between my bossy older brother and my adorable baby sister.
That's so interesting. What are your siblings like? Tell me about Michael first. How old is he? What does he look like? And what's his personality? Is he the typical protective older brother type?
Michael is 32 years old, 3 years older than me. He's tall with dark hair and our dad's intense brown eyes. He's very responsible, serious, and driven. Classic oldest child. He works as a financial analyst and takes everything incredibly seriously, sometimes too seriously.
He sounds like a real go-getter type. Are you too close, or do you have one of those sibling relationships where you love each other but drive each other crazy constantly?
Both, honestly. We're close in the sense that we do absolutely anything for each other, but we also clash because our personalities are very different. He's analytical and logical, while I'm more emotional and spontaneous. We've had some epic arguments over the years.
I think that's pretty normal for siblings with different personalities. What about your younger sister, Lily? Is she the spoiled baby of the family that everyone dotes on and protects?
Ha! Lily is 26 years old and absolutely the baby of the family in every way. She's bubbly, creative, and charming. She can get away with anything just by flashing her big smile. My parents definitely let her get away with things they never let Michael and me do.
Classic youngest child behavior. What does Lily do for work? Is she as serious and career-focused as Michael, or does she have a more relaxed approach to life?
Lily is a graphic designer and absolutely loves her job. She's very artistic and creative, which is totally different from Michael's corporate finance world. The three of us are like completely different people despite growing up in the exact same household with the same parents.
It's fascinating how siblings from the same family can turn out so differently. Now I'm curious, what's your relationship like with Michael now that you're both adults? Has it changed significantly from when you were kids fighting over the TV remote?
Honestly, it's so much better now that we're adults. When we were kids, we fought constantly over everything. Toys, attention, whose turn it was, who got the bigger piece of dessert. But now we actually enjoy spending time together and have real, meaningful conversations.
That's really common, actually. A lot of people say their sibling relationships improve dramatically once everyone moves out and becomes independent. The daily friction of living together disappears and you can just appreciate each other without the stress.
Exactly. Now when we see each other, it's by choice, not obligation. And that makes all the difference. We get dinner together when I visit our parents. We text regularly. And he's actually one of my biggest supporters professionally. He gives me great career advice.
That's such a sweet evolution of a relationship. Does Michael have his own family now? Is he married with kids or still single and figuring things out?
He got married 2 years ago to this wonderful woman named Sarah. They just had their first baby, a little girl named Emma, who is absolutely the most adorable thing I've ever seen in my life. I'm officially an aunt, and I'm completely obsessed with my niece.
Congratulations on becoming an aunt. That must be the best thing ever. You get to spoil the baby rotten and then hand her back to her parents when she gets fussy. What's your brother like as a father? Is he as serious and intense as he is in his professional life?
That's the funniest part. This super serious analytical financial analyst turns into the softest, most gentle, goofy dad you've ever seen around baby Emma. He makes silly faces, talks in a ridiculous baby voice, and tears up at the smallest milestones. It's the most heartwarming transformation.
I love that. Babies have a way of bringing out the softer side in even the most serious people. Do you and Michael talk more now that there's a baby connecting you in a new way?
Definitely. He sends me photos and videos of Emma every single day, and I send gifts constantly. Having a shared focus on this tiny, precious human has actually strengthened our relationship in ways I didn't expect. It's given us something beautiful to bond over.
Family really does expand in such wonderful ways. Did Michael always want kids, or was that something that evolved over time as he matured?
He always said he wanted a family, but I don't think he realized how completely and totally he would fall in love with being a dad. He calls me sometimes just to talk about Emma's latest milestone, her first laugh, her first tooth, her first word. He's completely smitten.
That's the most beautiful thing. Clearly, your brother has a huge heart underneath all that serious exterior. So tell me, what's your absolute favorite memory with Michael from growing up together?
There's this one memory from when I was maybe 8 years old and he was 11. I was terrified during a huge thunderstorm at night, and he let me sleep in his room with the lights on, even though he got teased by his friends about it later. That moment showed me who he really was.
That story about Michael is genuinely touching. It shows how protective older siblings can be, even when they're pretending to be too cool. Now let's talk more about Lily. What's your relationship like with your younger sister? Is it different from your relationship with Michael?
Totally different. With Michael, there's this underlying respect and sometimes rivalry because we're closer in age and competed more directly. With Lily, it's more nurturing because I'm 4 years older and I always felt protective of her growing up. I was almost like a second mom to her growing up.
That big sister energy is real. Did Lily look up to you growing up, or was she always doing her own thing and marching to the beat of her own drum regardless of what you thought?
She absolutely worshipped me when she was little, which was both flattering and terrifying. She copied everything I did, wanted to wear my clothes, and followed me everywhere. But around middle school, she developed her own very strong identity, and suddenly I wasn't cool enough for her anymore.
That's hilarious and so typical. The little sibling who adores you suddenly becomes a teenager and acts like you're an embarrassment. Did that phase eventually pass, or did it permanently change your dynamic?
It definitely passed. We went through a rocky phase in our teens where we barely talked and had nothing in common. But when Lily started college and began figuring out who she was as an adult, we reconnected and realized we actually really like each other as people.
That reconnection during the transition to adulthood is so common. What do you two like to do together now as adults when you hang out? Do you have shared interests or activities you enjoy?
We love going to art galleries and museums because Lily has taught me to appreciate visual art so much more than I ever did before. We also love cooking together. She's actually an incredible cook who experiments with fusion recipes. We make a great team in the kitchen.
A graphic designer who cooks amazing fusion food, your sister sounds incredibly talented and creative. Do you ever feel like she got all the creative genes in the family, or do you have your own creative outlets?
I definitely had a small identity crisis in my 20s. Lily is so naturally gifted at everything visual and creative that I felt a bit talentless by comparison. But I eventually realized that I have different strengths. I'm a better communicator, organizer, and strategic thinker.
That's such healthy self-awareness. Every sibling has their own unique gifts. Does Lily ever ask you for advice, or is she stubbornly independent and figures things out on her own?
She's getting better at asking for advice as she gets older. She used to refuse any input from family because she wanted to prove she could handle everything independently. But now she'll text me when she's stressed about relationships or career decisions, which I love.
That growing trust is so meaningful. What's your favorite thing about having a younger sister? What does she bring to your life that you're genuinely grateful for?
She keeps me young and connected to trends, music, and culture I would completely miss otherwise. She's also incredibly honest with me in a way that only a sibling can be. She'll tell me straight up if my haircut looks terrible or if I'm being unreasonable in a situation.
Honest feedback from a sibling is priceless. Now I want to hear about the less rosy side of having siblings. Every sibling relationship has conflicts and rivalry. What were the biggest sources of tension and fighting between you and your siblings growing up?
Oh, where do I even start? With Michael, it was constant competition. Who got better grades, who had more friends, who our parents seemed prouder of. We were both high achievers and we fed off each other's competitive energy, which was exhausting but probably pushed us both to work harder.
Academic and achievement competition sounds intense. Did your parents handle that well, or did they unintentionally fuel the competition by comparing you two to each other?
They tried not to compare us, but it happened naturally. If one of us got an award or did something impressive, the other would immediately want to one-up it. Looking back, I think that competition actually built character and resilience, but it felt miserable in the moment.
Competition between close in age siblings is so universal. What about with Lily? Was your conflict with her different since you had more of an age gap and a caretaker dynamic?
With Lily, it was more about boundaries and fairness. I resented that she got away with things I never could as the middle child. She could come home late, she got a more relaxed curfew, and my parents seemed much more lenient with her than they were with me at the same age.
The youngest child always seems to benefit from parents who have relaxed their strict standards by the third kid. Did you ever call your parents out on the double standard or just silently seethe about it?
I definitely called them out on it multiple times. My mom would laugh and say they had learned to pick their battles by the time Lily came along. But as a teenager, I found that answer completely unsatisfying and deeply unfair, to be honest.
Completely understandable. What was the biggest single fight you remember having with either sibling? The type that still comes up in family stories told at gatherings.
There's this legendary story about Michael and me when I was 13 and he was 16. He borrowed my diary without permission and read parts of it to his friends as a joke. I was absolutely devastated, furious, and didn't speak to him for 3 weeks. My parents still bring it up.
Oh no, reading someone's diary is a serious betrayal of privacy. How did that get resolved? Did he apologize properly, or did it just fade away with time without real acknowledgement?
He eventually gave me a very sincere, heartfelt apology that actually felt genuine. He was clearly embarrassed and ashamed of himself. That incident was actually a turning point because it taught us both about respecting each other's privacy and boundaries. It made our relationship more honest.
Conflicts really can strengthen relationships when handled with genuine accountability. Do you and your siblings ever still have significant disagreements as adults, or have you all mellowed out?
We definitely still disagree, especially about family decisions and how to handle situations with our parents. But the fights are much more mature now. We talk things through instead of screaming and storming off to our rooms. Adult conflict resolution is infinitely better than teenage drama.
Adult conflict resolution really is such a skill. Now let's flip to the positive side. Tell me about a time when your siblings really showed up for you when you needed them most. When did they prove that sibling loyalty is something truly special?
When I went through a really painful breakup about 4 years ago, I was absolutely devastated and completely falling apart. Michael flew in from out of town just to spend the weekend with me without me even asking him to come. He didn't try to fix anything, he just showed up and sat with me.
That's genuinely beautiful. The fact that he didn't try to solve the problem, but just showed up physically to be present shows real emotional intelligence and love. Did that experience change how you see your relationship with him?
It completely transformed how I see him. I had always thought of Michael as the logical, analytical brother who wasn't great with emotions. But that weekend showed me he has this deep well of empathy that he doesn't display publicly very often. I cried just thinking about it now.
Sometimes it takes a crisis to discover the depth of a relationship. What about Lily? Has she surprised you with her support or loyalty in an unexpected way?
Lily surprised me completely about 2 years ago when I was really struggling with self-confidence during a particularly difficult period at work. She spent an entire Saturday making this elaborate handmade scrapbook full of photos of our best memories together with encouraging notes on every page.
Oh my goodness, that's one of the most thoughtful and creative gifts I've ever heard of. That's so perfectly Lily based on how you've described her artistic personality. Did you cry when you received it?
I completely sobbed. It was so personal, so thoughtful, and so her. She put hours and hours of work into it. I keep it on my nightstand and look at it whenever I'm having a rough day. It's one of my most treasured possessions, without any doubt.
That is pure sibling love expressed through creativity. It's amazing how siblings can support each other in such unique and personalized ways. Have you had opportunities to support them in return during hard times?
With Michael, I helped him a lot when he was going through wedding planning stress. I was his sounding board for every decision and helped smooth things over when he and Sarah disagreed about details. With Lily, I helped her navigate a really toxic friendship situation in her early 20s.
Being a trusted advisor and sounding board is such a valuable role in someone's life. How do you generally show your siblings that you love and appreciate them on a regular basis, not just during crises?
Regular texts, checking in, remembering important dates in their lives, sending random funny memes that make me think of them, and always defending them to other people. I may criticize Michael or Lily privately, but if anyone outside the family says something negative about them, I will defend them fiercely.
That protective instinct is so real. The rule is always only family gets to criticize family. Do you think you'd be the person you are today without your siblings? Have they fundamentally shaped your character? This whole conversation has made me really reflect on my own sibling experience. You know so much about my family background by now. I actually have 2 brothers, no sisters. My brothers are David, who's 34, and younger brother Ryan, who is 27.
Oh, interesting. An all-boys household. That must have been completely chaotic growing up. 3 boys together sounds like a recipe for constant noise, wrestling matches, and competitive sports in the living room.
That's probably the most accurate description of my childhood I've ever heard. Our house was genuinely loud, messy, and physical all the time. My mom always says she survived raising 3 boys on patience, humor, and coffee. She deserves an actual medal for that achievement.
She absolutely does. Is she outnumbered and dramatic about it, or did she embrace having all boys and raise you all with equal amounts of love and firm discipline?
She absolutely embraced it. She became this incredibly tough but warm woman who could referee a wrestling match while simultaneously cooking dinner and answering work emails. She taught all 3 of us to cook, clean, and do laundry because she refused to raise helpless men.
I love her already. That's exactly the right approach. So tell me about David. He's the oldest, which in your family means he probably set all the standards and blazed the trail for you and Ryan.
David is classic oldest child energy personified. He's responsible, reliable, sometimes a little bossy, and carries this unspoken weight of being the firstborn and proving himself. He's a doctor now, which basically confirmed every firstborn overachiever stereotype that has ever existed.
A doctor? That's incredible. He must have been incredibly driven and focused growing up. Did you feel pressure to match his achievements, or were you comfortable forging your own path?
Massive pressure that nobody verbally acknowledged, but everyone absolutely felt. David was academically brilliant and athletic, so when I came along with completely different strengths, it took me years to stop comparing myself to him and just embrace who I was.
That's such a universal experience with high-achieving older siblings. How did you eventually find your own identity separate from his impressive shadow?
Honestly, it was when I discovered my passion for business and entrepreneurship in college. David's path was predetermined: medicine, residency, practice. My path was more creative and uncertain, which scared me at first, but eventually became something I was genuinely proud of.
Finding your own lane is so important. What's your relationship with David like now as adults? Is the old competition and comparison dynamic still there, or have you both moved past it?
We've moved past the direct competition, but we still push each other intellectually. David challenges me with medical ethics discussions. I challenge him with business strategy debates. We respect each other's completely different areas of expertise now.
That sounds like a mature, intellectually stimulating sibling dynamic. What about your younger brother, Ryan? Is he the baby of the family with all the youngest child characteristics?
Ryan is exactly what you'd expect from the youngest in an all-boys household. He's funny, charming, gets away with absolutely everything, and somehow manages to be everyone's favorite while doing half the work of everyone else. It's a gift he was born with.
The youngest child charm is genuinely a superpower. Tell me more about Ryan. What does he do for work? What's his personality like in detail? And what's your relationship with him compared to your relationship with David?
Ryan just turned 27 and works in social media marketing, which surprises nobody who knows him because he's always been naturally charismatic and great at reading people. He knows exactly what to say to make anyone feel comfortable and heard.
Social media marketing sounds perfect for someone charming and good with people. Is he as driven and career-focused as you and David, or does he approach life with a more relaxed, go-with-the-flow attitude?
Definitely more relaxed. Ryan lives very much in the present and doesn't stress about 5-year plans the way David and I tend to. At first, I thought he was just being lazy, but honestly, watching him has taught me something important about enjoying the present moment.
That's beautiful perspective growth. Do you ever give him career advice, or does he specifically avoid taking advice from his older brothers because he doesn't want to feel like he can't handle things himself?
There was definitely a phase in his early 20s where he was adamant about figuring everything out independently. He didn't want any input or guidance from David and me. But now that he's more settled and confident, he'll actually ask for our opinions and genuinely consider them.
That sounds like a healthy maturation. What's something you genuinely admire about Ryan that you'd never admit directly to his face because he'd become insufferably smug about it?
His emotional intelligence is actually extraordinary. He reads people and situations with this incredible accuracy that David and I, despite being older and more educated, just don't have naturally. He can walk into a room and instantly understand every interpersonal dynamic happening.
That is an incredible skill. And you're right, if you told him that directly, he'd probably remind you of it constantly for the rest of your lives. What about your relationship with David? Tell me one favorite memory that captures who he really is underneath the serious doctor exterior.
When I was going through a really rough patch financially in my mid-20s, trying to launch my first business, David secretly paid 3 months of my rent without telling me until much later. He never mentioned it or made me feel embarrassed about it, just quietly took care of it.
That is the most genuine, humble act of brotherly love. The fact that he did it quietly without expecting gratitude or acknowledgement says everything about his character. Have you ever been able to repay that kindness?
When David was in his residency and barely sleeping or eating, I used to show up at his apartment every Sunday with groceries and home-cooked food. He was too exhausted to take care of himself, so I just started doing it without being asked. Brothers take care of each other.
That is such a perfect example of sibling love expressed through action. You showed up when it mattered without keeping score. What do you think makes the bond between brothers specifically unique from other relationships?
There's this unspoken language between brothers. We communicate entire emotions through a look, a nod, or one sentence. We don't need to verbally process everything the way other relationships require. There's a shorthand built from decades of shared experience and understanding.
That unspoken communication built through years of shared history is so beautiful. Let's talk about childhood memories. What's your most vivid and cherished memory of growing up with your brothers that you carry with you even now as an adult?
Every summer, our family rented a cabin by the lake for 2 weeks, and those 2 weeks were absolutely the best of my entire childhood. No phones, no school pressure, just David, Ryan, and me swimming, fishing, building fires at night, and staying up late telling stories. Pure freedom.
That sounds like an absolute dream childhood. Those unstructured summer experiences create the most lasting memories. Do you think you'll recreate something like that tradition with your own family someday?
Absolutely. Those cabin summers are the blueprint for what I want family life to feel like. Present, connected, adventurous, and completely free from daily pressures. The three of us still talk about those summers regularly, even now in our 30s. They're sacred memories.
I love that. My version of that was summers at my grandparents' farm with Michael and Lily. No technology, endless outdoor space, and three kids left to entertain each other for weeks. We built forts, explored the woods, and invented elaborate games.
Childhood memories without screens sound increasingly rare and precious. Did having siblings make your childhood fundamentally better, in your opinion, or do you think you could have been equally happy as an only child?
I genuinely cannot imagine my childhood without Michael and Lily. The noise, the fighting, the laughter, the loyalty, it all created this rich, textured experience that shaped me completely. An only child version of me would be a completely different and probably lonelier person.
Sibling relationships provide this unique mirror that shows you who you are through how you relate to people who know you completely and fully. What's something important your siblings taught you that you couldn't have learned any other way?
Michael taught me that you can disagree deeply with someone and still love them completely. We have genuinely opposing worldviews on certain things, but our love has never been conditional on agreement. That lesson has made every important relationship in my life healthier.
That's profound. The ability to love through difference is one of life's most important skills. Ryan taught me that joy doesn't require perfect circumstances. He can find genuine happiness and humor in ordinary moments, while David and I are overthinking and overanalyzing everything around us.
And what did David teach you? The oldest sibling usually has the most visible influence on those who come after.
David taught me the value of commitment and finishing what you start no matter how hard it gets. Watching him go through medical school, residency, and then build his practice showed me that sustained effort over years produces extraordinary results. He's my living proof that long-term commitment works.
3 brothers, 3 completely different but equally valuable life lessons. You really got a comprehensive education just from growing up alongside them.
It's incredible what siblings teach each other just by existing and living their lives. Let's talk about where things stand now as adults. How often do all 3 of you get together in the same place at the same time? Do you make that a priority?
Getting all 5 of us together, counting Michael's wife Sarah and their baby Emma, happens about 4 or 5 times a year for holidays and special occasions. It's chaotic, loud, and always involves at least one minor argument about something completely ridiculous and small.
That sounds absolutely perfect. Some of my favorite family moments have started as minor arguments that turned into hilarious memories. Same with my brothers. We'll disagree about something silly, and by the end of the night, we're all laughing about it together.
This sibling dynamic never fully matures past a certain point, and I think that's actually wonderful. Something about being together brings out these old patterns, and it's both annoying and deeply comforting at the same time. Do your brothers live nearby?
David lives about 45 minutes away in a different suburb. Ryan is the closest, only 15 minutes from my apartment. So Ryan and I grab lunch or watch sports together pretty regularly, but seeing David requires more deliberate planning and scheduling around his demanding hospital schedule.
Proximity really does shape the frequency and nature of adult sibling relationships. Do you make special effort to maintain your bond with David despite the distance and his demanding career?
We have this standing phone call every Sunday evening that we've done for about 3 years now, just 30 or 45 minutes to catch up on the week. It sounds small, but that consistency has kept us really connected despite our different and busy lives.
A standing weekly call is such a smart and simple way to maintain closeness. I need to implement something like that with Michael because we tend to go weeks without proper conversation and then have marathon catch-up calls instead.
The marathon catch-up calls are also great, but the regular smaller check-ins keep you continuously present in each other's lives. Do you have any established rituals or traditions that are specifically just for you and your siblings without parents involved?
Michael, Lily, and I started doing a sibling-only trip once a year a few years back. We've done weekend trips to different cities: New Orleans, Nashville, New York. No spouses, no parents, just the 3 of us reconnecting as individuals rather than as a family unit.
That is such a genius idea. Preserving the original sibling relationship separate from all the additions and extensions of family is so important. Has that tradition brought you closer as adults?
Enormously. There's something about traveling together that strips everything down to who you actually are without the roles and expectations of home. Some of my favorite and most honest conversations with Michael and Lily have happened on those trips over shared meals and long walks.
Travel really does reveal people's true characters. I need to propose that idea to David and Ryan, a brothers-only weekend somewhere. I think Ryan would be immediately enthusiastic, and David would need convincing because of his schedule, but he'd love it once we got him there.
You absolutely should organize that trip. Those experiences create memories and deepen bonds in ways that regular life just can't replicate. The investment of time and planning is so worth it for the relationship you get in return.
I'm genuinely inspired to make it happen after this whole conversation. It's made me realize how precious these sibling relationships are and how they deserve intentional cultivation and care, not just passive maintenance when circumstances bring you together.
Exactly. Relationships don't maintain themselves. They require conscious investment. And sibling relationships are so unique because they're the longest relationships most of us will ever have. They span our entire lives from birth onward.
That's a perspective that stops you in your tracks. Your siblings will likely know you longer than your parents, your spouse, or any friend you ever make. That kind of lifelong shared history creates something irreplaceable and extraordinary.
It really does. When I think about the fact that Michael has known me my entire life, he literally remembers things about me as a baby, there's something incredibly profound and grounding about that continuity of witness and shared story.
And they'll be there for the rest of your life's journey, too. Through marriages, children, aging parents, loss, celebration, your siblings are constants in a world that changes constantly around you.
Beautifully said. I think this conversation has reminded me to be more intentional about nurturing those relationships. I'm going to text Michael and Lily right after we finish talking and tell them I love them and I'm thinking about them.
Same with David and Ryan. We get so caught up in the routine of daily life that we forget to pause and appreciate the people who have been with us through everything. Siblings deserve that acknowledgement and appreciation.
They really do. And to anyone watching who has complicated or difficult sibling relationships, it's worth the effort to repair and rebuild where possible. Some of the most meaningful reconciliations happen between adult siblings who finally find common ground.
And for anyone watching who doesn't have siblings, the people who fill that role in your life, your closest friends who feel like family, they deserve the same kind of intentional appreciation and care.
That's a beautiful point. Family is sometimes who you choose and build around yourself. The bond is defined by loyalty, history, and unconditional love, not necessarily by blood alone.
Couldn't have said it better. This has been one of my favorite conversations because it's reminded me of what actually matters most in life, the relationships we build and protect through time and effort.
Agreed completely. And to everyone watching Talk in English today, we hope you learned how to talk about brothers and sisters in natural, confident, authentic American English.
Use these expressions and this vocabulary in your own conversations.
Keep practicing every single day, stay connected to the people you love, and we will absolutely see you in the very next episode of Talk in English. Take care, everyone.
Goodbye, and thank you so much for watching. Go call your siblings right now. See you next time on Talk in English channel.